we have a question for you. Young Elvis or old Elvis? $5 pizzas and a tragic day for Buffalo's broadcasting community. Dave McKinley has our weekly walk down memory lane with when those stories and more were all news to you.
10 years ago this week.
No public exposure of the bill, no public debate of the bill, and it's just fostered and passed.
In the wake of the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School, Governor Cuomo hastily submitted the SAFE Act as a matter of necessity to legislators, skirting the normal 3-day incubation period for bills and therefore any debate. Passed in the middle of the night, New Yorkers woke up to having the toughest gun laws in the nation at the time.
Does he think criminals are going to obey that law?
But the governor insisted the SAFE Act would protect us from gun violence and mass shootings in particular. Well, anyway, it's been 10 years since it went into effect this week in 2013. 20 years ago this week, as he delivered his State of the State, Governor Pataki turned to shake hands with 4 of the state's top elected leaders, from left to right: Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver, Comptroller Alan Hevesy, then Attorney General Eliot Spitzer, and Senate Majority Leader Joe Bruno, 4 men who incredibly would all see their political careers end in disgrace after they were either charged with corruption crimes or caught up in scandal. Meanwhile, amid the new phrases of the day,
this practice of a company stuffing your bill with unauthorized charges is called cramming.
And while it still goes on, stories about it today are about as rare as a $30 phone bill. Congressman Brian Higgins was still serving as a member of the state assembly.
Football players, hockey players, they're all way overpaid. And that's a big problem that people have here.
Hip hugger jeans were all the rage, and this entire family put itself up for sale on eBay this week in 2003. 30 years ago this week, they were lining up at the post office to be first to buy a new stamp, the design of which the Postal Service took the unprecedented step of allowing the public to vote on. This week's News to You pop quiz: what was the stamp that more than 1 million Americans weighed in on and which remains the most popular U.S. commemorative stamp of all time? Remember, this was back when you could still buy a large pizza for less than $5. Pick it up in your classic Chevy van, the tank of which you could fill for $1.16 a gallon, and when a tragedy occurred over the skies of the Niagara River.
The lights in the house flashed real fast on and off, and then there was an orange flash at the same time.
The following morning, search teams entered the water to recover the bodies of WGR Radio's Mike Rosman and his pilot Herb Kuhn, and later the wreckage of their traffic copter, which had clipped high-voltage lines in a dense fog in what was a very dark day in the annals of local broadcasting this week in 1993, when it was all news to you.
All right, Dave, thank you. So now we have the answer to Dave's News to You pop quiz. Yeah, it's the Elvis stamp. More than 1 million people voted young Elvis or old Elvis. Young Elvis won in a landslide.
Wow.
And that was released on what would have been Elvis's 68th birthday. It's still the most popular commemorative stamp here.
Have you seen the movie?
You know what? That's on the list. I
gotta
still have not seen the Elvis movie, and I think it's streaming now.
I forget the actor's name who plays Elvis.
But he's really good.
Oh my
I think he hosted SNL
just recently
too. Yeah.
And of course, Tom Hanks is in it, who plays the Colonel.
Yep. And does he play kind of a mean guy?
Yes,
too?
it's so convincing. It's a great. We should be talking about Dave McKinley's story, but I got sidetracked onto Elvis. It's a great movie.